dollar. Met some girls from Guatemala, now they trying to holler.
Now before they wouldn't bother, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me.
Knowledge to me.
Doing homework every night of the week.
Night of the week.
Like she chillin' up at college with me.
College with me, but we cruising, man. Rolling up at 430. Kush same color as a Kobe Road jersey, or a throwback worthy. Giraffe ass high, fresh breeze just passing us by. Cause I'm cruising on a Sunday afternoon. I got my good shoes on, ain't got no bad news. Here's what you say to the lady. Let me squeeze you, oh, let me hold you, oh, let me squeeze you, oh, let me hold you. Why? Cause I don't wanna leave this party, baby, without you. What you waiting for? Hop in the ride.
Okay.
What you waiting for? Hop in the ride. So I arrive at a party at 9. I reside beside Sim. Think when we fly, time's on our side. But look again, then it's 11 p.m. Chalk it on the board. Time to sin. Let's begin. Hey, you're kinda cute, and I got the loot to befriend both you and your girlfriend too.
You single Tim Jones?
Well, that depends. Just then she turned to a friend and she said,
I really like him.
Say word.
I really like him.
Oh yeah.
I really, 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 really like.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back here at JCT Studios. We want to give a great big shout out to Big Al, Chief Engineer in the back, making it do what it do, making all this magic happen that you see now, and you're definitely going to see throughout this show entitled Responsibility and Accountability. Want to give a great big shout out to Clockwork, Marv Kennel. He's in the house today, and that spectacular show, Clockwork, or Clock's Hour. Also, give a great big shout out to Mike. Mike is in the house today. Give a great big shout out to Lisa, Brenda, and Steve Medeiros, the president here at Sky Cable. With that being said, we're going to actually be jumping out of your way, but I just wanted to stop to let you know that we are still with you. We know we lost a lot of people during the course of the pandemic. Big up to those folks, and hopefully everybody's doing what they need to do out there to stay safe, stay powerful, and keep yourself always focused and alert. There's a saying, you stay alert, you stay alive. There's a lot of hate and a lot of violence going on in our world in which we exist, and we want you to stay alert, stay alive, stay with us, and let's all stay focused. With that being said, I'm jumping out your way. You have on the panel today the outstanding JDX, Antonio. You have the lovely Jatrice Godley, and Joe Carroll. I'm out and look forward to seeing you guys again real soon. Pop to y'all.
Okay, wow.
Right.
Good to be back, you guys.
Yeah, it's good to be
Wonderful.
back.
It's a pleasure being back again.
The round table is back. Let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Yes,
What
sir.
do you say?
No, responsibility, accountability is the topic. I want to actually hear your take on it. So who wants to go first?
I mean, my mind have been spinning. Honestly, the word responsibility. We're living in a consumer's world. And responsibility, what responsibility? Because it's a very big topic. And because it's such a large topic, we should have something to base it on. Because watch what's happening in our world today. Let's talk about guns, food, death, lives, sickness, war. There's so much things to talk about for responsibility to take, where will we start?
Well, I can say that those two words actually scare me.
It do.
Because I think we kind of know inside when we're not taking responsibility for things or we're not being held accountable. They're fearful words, actually, because they hold us to a higher standard than I think we're normally accustomed to. But when I think of responsibility, what is the ultimate standard of responsibility? Who took the most responsibility in human history? I think it was Jesus. In other words, humankind sinned in the beginning and it was inherited. Everyone is born with sin, right? He comes along and takes responsibility for the sins of mankind, right? So what does that mean? It means he didn't come and start pointing fingers at anybody. He didn't accuse anybody. That's not his job. That's Satan does that. So what I think, if you want to really practice taking responsibility, then I think what we have to do is get into God's world, because this world is a sinful world. The world that we are part of, this environment with all that's going on, you know, we can't avoid looking at it, but in our minds, we can look at God's world. What is that world? That world is true love, ideal love. If we can focus on that and practice that, we can come closer and closer to living in that world. And I think, you know, here's another Jesus quote, you know, you have to be in the world, but not of it. And to me, taking responsibility, if we can be like Jesus, who took responsibility for everything. So in other words, what does that mean for us? Well, if somebody does us wrong, we don't start accusing the other person and blaming. We don't put blame on other persons. We don't even blame ourselves. We repent and we say, Heavenly Father, you know, I'm sorry. I want to have your heart more and more. Please guide me towards that heart. That's how I see it.
When I think of responsibility, I think of the fact that you're in the position, or there's basically a duty that you're supposed to actually do. And what that means, you're going to be held accountable for the consequences of that responsibility.
Yeah, right.
So it could, and it's pretty much, to me, these two terms, it is a broad term to go to any and every aspect
Of life, yeah.
but it's basically pointing out to that person, saying, okay, you're doing this, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for this. As you're actually delegating these responsibilities, they're also held accountable to actually uphold the responsibilities. So that's how I actually see it. It's the fact that you are given a task or duty that you are accountable for. And if you are not able to carry it out, then you have to deal with the backlash of it. That's how I see it.
That makes a lot of sense, which I like what
Yeah.
Joe said a while ago, because the foundation of reality is based on truth. And truth is the core of what every human being was. The earth itself was created by truth and life. And to be responsible, I would truly accept the knowledge of knowing that every one of us is responsible for the life that we come to fulfill on earth. Because, and the failure of not hearing the voice of the Spirit of God in us for the purpose that we came into existence for is the cause of where we are today, because man are so easily persuaded by the things that this world has provided to make us fall into that temptation. And because we have lost sight of the true essence of the purpose of what God sent us to into the world. Because we were brought up in this world. Hear what it says, we were born in sin and shapen in iniquity. What are the things that have... We ourselves was not sin. We were born in the system of sin. And the teachings that we acquire in this system that we are living is the iniquity, because the knowledge of God itself was never taught to us. We were all brought up in this place where we could just have that knowledge of what this world wants of us. We wake up every morning to say we're going to work 8 hours. We have to go to school first, preschool, primary school, high school, college, come back to work 8 hours, after 65 years, 70 years, retire, prepare yourself for death. That's what the world gave us. But is that the real cause of why did we come on earth? No.
Of course not.
It was not. But we never, so it's like everyone comes into the world unprepared. We were born to be prepared, but there is no example into the world to prepare us for the right responsible. So that's why when we grow now as human, we grow up, we need to come to that knowledge of asking ourselves the question, why was I here? Why am I sent here? And you have to answer to the power of finding it and fulfill it. And as long as we don't, and we're still doing things according to the world, as it says, be in the world, but not of the world. But are we finding what it is that is to say that we are of the world or outside of the world? You follow?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that's really nice.
And what I will say, so that's why I love this verse which says, whatsoever a man sow, that shall he reap. Because in the end, you were not born with the nature to sin. But because we adopt the teachings of this world, the education of this world, the whole system of it, everything they give us is not for you to manifest your true self. Because I was driving a while ago, and while I was driving, everything that I see for the past few months, just 2 months ago, we could have looked from here and see Hadford because everything was naked. But spring came, and every individual plant that is on the surface of the earth today that we can see with our naked eyes, they all come up,
Come alive. Yeah.
to their full self. And every one of them will reflect the purpose of what they were created for, except us human beings that say we were created in the image of God.
And that just, I mean, to me, that makes it so clear that how can we say that, how can we be arrogant enough to say that we are the ultimate being in this world? We are in the original sense, because that's the way God created us. But we're not living that way. We're not taking care of the world as we should have. We're not taking care of each other or ourselves as we were meant to, and as we certainly are capable. But like you said, we are not. We're not connecting. We're not talking. We're not asking God, our Father, for guidance. We come to Him when we're in trouble. And, you know, unfortunately, a parent wants to have a relationship with his kids all the time, right? The parents don't want the kids just to run to them when they're in trouble. They want to enjoy them. They want to have fun with them. They want to do everything with them. And if we looked at our Creator, God, as our parent, and we wanted to have that relationship with Him just like we do with our own families, we could then probably get more in tune with Him. And we might get some better answers than just kind of praying, and why am I not getting answers? Why am I not getting answers, you know?
But as I was saying, the disconnection did not come through us who was born into it. It was given to us by a teaching that separates us from the true source. Because everything for us now, it becomes more of an illusion than a reality, and which is the reality of things is to find back our true self and go back to the Creator that sent us into this earth. Yeah.
All right, we're back, and we're actually about to get back into our topic, which is responsibility and accountability. We hear quite a bit of responsibility now. It's the fact of the accountability, and I understand how you guys actually use the topic of parents and how they interact with their children, where they basically be able to come to the parents and for not just for everything, instead of just having to be when they're in trouble, which is true, but only if the parents actually make sure that it's a very clear and open communication. Because if it's not very clear to their children that they can come to them for everything and anything, then that means the kid is only going to come to them in their need instead of for everything. I mean, they still have a relationship, but it's only one part instead of everything.
That's a great point. I like that.
Because it all depends on how they structure it. Because if the parent, you can have dinner conversations and hear them talk about how their day was and everything. If it turns out that there's a concern, if they offer to say, hey, there's something that you need help with, then they have the right to either say yes or no, or be like, the other thing will be like, you know what, I want to work it out to myself first, because that's another thing too, is the fact that having to have the independence to be able to try to solve their own problems before they be like, okay, I want to come to you and see if you can be able to help me out. So
Yeah, the independence to solve their own problems. Also, I was thinking trust is involved in
Yep.
that as well. Because if the child or children feel trust, then they'll feel more comfortable going to the parent.
right,
So if we apply that to our relationship with God, do we really trust God? Or are we afraid that he's going to send us off to burn in hell if we make one little mistake, you know? So there are all these concepts we have to deal with. Like you're saying, you know, we're taught these things that cause these problems within us and then cause us to relate with others negatively. And how do we, so my question was at the end of the previous segment was, how do we now take responsibility? How do we
be held
be
accountable.
held accountable to where we're comfortable with that? Because, like I said at the beginning,
I think
it's scary.
The knowledge that we have to do, what we have to first go back to is understanding where do we get the things we get from? The source, even about God, is what they're telling us about God. Is that really God? Because the same people that is teaching us about God are the same people who's committing more wrongs at the back of the sin. They don't know God themselves because they tell us that God is a spirit. And if God is a spirit, I'm just drawing a reference.
Yeah.
That means no man know God, that's what they say. But every human being was created in the image of God. So if we were created in his image and likeness and we are physical, and how could he be spirit? If he comes in spirit, you will never see a spirit. Every spirit to me is supposed to have a body and because you are a spirit. I am a spirit. But if that spirit is not in a physical, it cannot be manifested. Because there is no way you can see a spirit. But the spirit have to be manifested in something that can communicate. Because they say God talks, God sees, God grieves, God pains, God regret. I mean, all those things are human feelings and expressions. So if God do all those things and he's a spirit, how could he feel? How would you describe him? So to me now, that knowledge alone is something that's supposed to be questioned so that we could find the true God that we're talking about. Because people are going crazy first because they don't know God. That's one. They never seen him, they say, they cannot know him, they don't, but they believe that he's a spirit. But they still will come back and tell you, he created us in his image and likeness.
Well,
So psychologically now, the problem is not only that, but today I think that we should have even go deeper into the point of responsibility, because there are so much pressing things that is going on in our world today that needs answer and solve problems to solve it, of which we need to really impound on those things too, because we need to find out why all those things is going on today and what is the purpose, where did it first started, how did it reach so far. So we need to see that all these are responsible. We're not looking at the small picture about parents and children, because the parents itself don't know no better to teach the children any better. Because they only give you the knowledge that they get, just like you're going to pass what you get to your children. And now today we are living in a world that is so suppressing, with so many things that is going on in our eyes that we cannot even follow. Watch how long it takes us, almost 3 years to come back on this beautiful light and in that setting, just because of the epidemic that was going on. And as the epidemic ended, before it even ended, We heard of wars going on in so many parts of the earth. Leaders have been dying, but so much things is going on. So at the end of the day, what will be the end result? The consequence of your responsibility not doing the thing that was supposed to be done. And those are the things I think we should really talk about, because we need to find a solution to the problem that is going on to the world.
So that means somebody has to be responsible, be held accountable for the solution of the problem.
For the solution of the problem. And as long as we're going to put forgiveness of God, and consequences is always evil, 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 evil. There is never going to be forgiveness. But forgiveness is always there. But at the end of the day, it's evil, 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 evil. So evil need to get paid for their evil, because everybody get paid according to their work. And as long as you're going to get paid to your work, you need to come to the conclusion and ask yourself that question. Who is going to get paid according to their work? Because you are producing. If you give your child, you tell your child, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But at the end of the day, the same thing you're telling your child not to do, at the back of the scene, when they're not looking, you're committing the same thing. How could you, are you going to punish the child, or are you going to punish yourself?
That's a good question. But if I'm actually telling my child not to do something, it's only because I already experienced it. So I'm taking responsibility and making sure that my kid doesn't do the same thing. Otherwise,
yeah, but how do you correct? You should not have not experienced it from the beginning, then you could have. Because
that means I'm not learning anything if I don't do the wrong.
So that means your child will not learn anything if they don't do the wrong.
I'm preventing my kid from actually.
No, but you wanted to experience the wrong so that you could have the knowledge.
They can experience. They can actually have the experience on other things on their own, but as long as I'm actually taking care of them up to a certain point in time, they're not gonna actually
because
have to
it's like you telling the tree, you can bend to I can break your branches, but I don't want the wind to come and break the child. No, that tree is supposed to be solid enough so that when they talk, because every time it's not you heard the word he said, be in the world but not of the world. Every being has to take responsibility. Either you're upright or you not upright. Simple. Now you have to come to the knowledge of yourself. Find for you as an individual your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you need not to shift to the right, not to the left. And then you could guide your child in the same principle and manner that you are. Because as I was saying earlier, I was driving coming here and I was just looking at the glory of things on earth. The earth is just so lustful with love and glory everywhere you look. Everything is fresh, springing up. New hopes, new ideas, new dreams. Everything is just blossoming, just for a couple of months. But at the end of the day, presently, it's in its full bloom. And no tree will never become intertwined into another vine. No matter how much the vine spin around that tree will always stand up straight. Yeah. And that is why I say, if you have to guide someone, you have to stand on that principle of you being your true self. That when you speak to your child will grow up to the same knowledge of knowing, even though the vine is intertwined around me, I am going to be me.
Exactly. And
so that's what you call accountability.
Yeah. And as an example, I was talking with my brother, who works at the Y in Middletown. He takes care of little kids, 3- and 5-year-old kids, right? And these are problem kids. He is the only one who can keep them from hurting themselves, keep them from running out and just keep them from escaping. They call on my brother when they have a problem child, and he has no problem dealing with them. So I was
but
talking
do you
to
believe
him.
there's a problem child?
In one sense, no. But in another sense, where we expect them to abide by certain rules and things like that in a particular setting, yes. So as an example, I was talking to him about this, and I was saying, okay, these kids, the parents, they they see them playing on this, you know, this playground kind of thing. I don't know what they are now. In our days, it was monkey bars. The kids climb around on it, right? So if the kids are climbing on the outside where the parents can see, they'll tell them, don't do that. Don't climb on the outside, right? I was asking my brother, okay, so how do you, I told him, I don't like the way that's done. I don't like just telling a kid, don't do that, because that's not, they're not learning anything by that, right? So what he does is, he'll talk with them and say, you know, if you do that, you could get seriously hurt, or you might. But somebody else did it. I saw somebody else do it, and they didn't get hurt. Well, yeah, you could do that, you know, 100 times, and you might not get hurt, but then the one time you might, okay? So he's basically, and then the kid kind of uses his own brain to figure out, okay, then he is learning to take, he's learning to be accountable.
Yep.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. I think this is a really broad subject because there's a lot going on with that. So, but I guess that's what that we got for today, huh?
Yeah, I truly believe that we could have, I mean, there's much more we could talk about on a broader scale. And but at the end of the day, I truly believe that whatever a man sows, that he reaps, and the consequences of not following the dictate of what you were created to be on earth is gonna, the final answer will always be, what is the result of your life? Because you're gonna see the reward of the.
Okay. Joe?
No final thoughts, because I will get too long-winded.
Well,
I won't be able to stop.
The way I see this, you do what it is that you need to do, and if there's a job you're supposed to do it right, and I don't think anything negative will come out of it. Just keep doing what you do.
Close up.
Yep. On that, we're going to take you to a cup of tea.
Until 18, that's what.
Now before they wouldn't bother, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me. Doing homework every night of the week. Like she chilling up at college with me.
But we cruising, man, rolling up at 4:30. Kush same color as a Kobe Road jersey, or a throwback worthy. Giraffe ass high, fresh breeze just passing us by. Cause I'm cruising.